This is Bill McCue from the Sarasota Home Group, and today I want to talk about Zillow estimates. We get a lot of conversation about this with clients and customers on the phone. Z estimates, what they are is just basically an automated valuation model of a property. The way that these companies like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, there's a whole bunch of them, but the way that they figure these values out, there's an algorithm that they use. It's based on a whole lot of different factors, and they usually will give a price range of what they feel the home is worth. We tell clients all the time that you want to take these with a huge grain of salt. They're extremely inaccurate. Let me show you first the Zillow website. So if you actually go to Zillow.com and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a link that explains Z estimates. So right here, how accurate is the Z estimate? And then it says, gives you some explanation as far as the percentages. But really what I'm concerned about is looking at the metropolitan areas. And actually these numbers seem to be pretty consistent. It doesn't matter where you are in the country, really. But let's scroll down to the closest metropolitan area would be Tampa right here. How often is Zillow's Z estimate within 5% of a home's actual sales price when it actually does sell on the market? And they're reporting that in the Tampa market, 82.84% of the time, Zillow is within 5% of that value. Now that's not very good. Okay, so now let's take a look at off-market properties. So doing the same analysis, these are properties that are not actively listed for sale. They may have been, the last time that they had sold may have been years ago. And if you look for the Tampa market, the Z estimate is only accurate 36.9% of the time, meaning 36.9% of the time it's within 5% of the sales price. That's terrible. Okay, and what's even worse is if you look at the column for within 10% of the sales price, Zillow can only hit within 10% of a sales price 63.08% of the time with their Z estimate. 10% of a sales price. So if a property is $500,000, they're off by $50,000 or more 40% of the time. If you're using this kind of data to actually price your property, it's a huge mistake. And that's why having a professional come in and really assess the value of your property is so important. Then you look at that and you say, how can that be? And the reason is when a property, these Z estimates, like I said, are very inaccurate. They're using algorithms, but they're not taking into account a lot of factors. Like, what does the position of the house look like? What does it look like? What's the view out the front and the back? What type of noise level do you have? Is there a highway close by? What type of functional obsolescence is there? Meaning, how updated is the house? Is it old? Does it need a complete gut job? There's so many factors. What does it smell like? Was there pets inside? Because all of those things are going to affect value. So here's where it gets really interesting. So they're only within 10%, 63% of the time on off market. So why is it on the on market, active for sale properties, that it jumps up to 82.84% of the time? The reason is because they rely on the realtors to list the property, and when they do, they adjust their Z estimates quite often. This actually happened to me when I listed my own property for sale. It always bothered me because the Z estimate was way off. I mean, way more than 10% off. My next door neighbor's house wasn't nearly as updated and as appointed as mine was, and their value was over $100,000 more than mine, and it just never made sense. As soon as I put mine on the market, my Z estimate jumped way up. And it's because Zillow figures, well, if a realtor has done a market analysis and has actually, with his professional or her professional opinion, come up with this number, then it's probably a lot closer than our Z estimate. And then they adjust their Z estimate right on the spot to more closely resemble the list value. And I have a perfect example of that. So this property, now this is, we don't have any tie to this property. This is just a property that I saw online. This is the history of the Z estimate on this property going back to before 2023. And you'll see that it was a fairly consistent amount, like 650s. As we move into 2024, 650, 652, 650. All of a sudden overnight, it went from 650 Z estimate down to 449. So it took a huge jump, almost a $200,000 drop in value. And this is why I tell people, I really tell them, don't pay much attention to these Z estimates at all. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're selling and this is way off, you're going to ignore it anyway. The problem is that buyers are going to pay attention to it. It comes up in negotiation all the time where a buyer will say, oh, but the Z estimate's saying this, that's all it's worth. It's not. These are completely inaccurate, and the numbers in that table show how grossly inaccurate these numbers can be. But here's what happened. So overnight it dropped. It went from 650 to 449,000. And then you see this dot right here? What that is it being listed. So it was listed by a broker. And as soon as it listed, they immediately, right afterwards, adjusted their Z estimate back up. The list price was $695, and they all of a sudden became a $691 Z estimate instead of a $450 Z estimate, and that was within a 24-hour period. So obviously, these numbers really don't mean a lot. They're interesting to look at. We do send an automated valuation report monthly. If you're interested in that and you're not receiving it, just drop us a note or an email or a call and let us know that you want one, and we can set you up on to get an automated valuation. However, if you're actually looking at these because you're considering selling your property, I would highly recommend just reach out to us, give us a call. We will set up an appointment. We'd love to come out and meet you, learn about your house, learn why you love the house, why you chose the house that you did. And then we're gonna, assess it and see where it really truly falls in market value, so that when you go to list this property, you list it at an accurate price. And also that we have a good argument and countermeasures for buyers who may be looking at a grossly inaccurate Z estimate and then trying to use that information against you in a negotiation. I don't put much weight in them at all. You definitely shouldn't either, but it is good entertainment value. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you found this at all helpful, please, hit subscribe on the YouTube. We'd love to see you be a subscriber of ours. We try and constantly update our YouTube channel with interesting information to help educate our clients and website visitors. So anyway, thanks for watching.